start the screen as presentation mode. Krishnan, you can make it into a presentation mode. That next time. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to look at something called as shell scripting. Okay. Now, this shell scripting is basically so for example, let us assume like this. Okay. Every day morning. Okay. At 9 o'clock. Okay. I want you to check the how much amount of CPU is being used, how much amount of memory is being used, how many users are connected to my machine. Okay, I want this to be checked at 9 o'clock, and I want you to send me an email, assuming that I'm your boss. Okay, assuming that I'm your boss, or maybe a colleague or whatever. Okay, every day morning, I want you to check all these three params sharp at 9 o'clock and send me an email. Now, I want you to do this at 12 o'clock also. I want you to do it. I want you to do it every 3 hours, including midnight. Then, if I ask a person to do it, one day he will do, 2 days he will do. Afterwards, he will not do. So basically, what we wanted to do is we want to bring in some process automation. Okay, so process automation means I can write a script in Linux. I can write a small script in Linux, and what this script will do is, and I can also schedule it. Schedule it meaning I can say, hey, run this script at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, everything I can schedule it and I can run it. Once I schedule it and run it, what happens is, whatever you ask it to do, it is not just CPU or thing, it could be anything. Maybe, suppose if there is one folder, okay, in that folder, some temporary files are being loaded. I want the temporary files to be deleted every 1 hour. Then I can write a shell script for it. So basically, shell script is used for process automation. So anything that you want to automate, what is automation? Anything that you want to do in manual, basically. So suppose, let's say you are deleting a file manually. Okay, what is the command for deleting the file? What is the command for deleting a file? Can you put it in the QA box? What is the command for deleting a file? And somebody put it in the QA box. Deleting a file. Is that correct, Krishna?
No. Deleting a file. Kaushik is asking deleting a file, not deleting a line in VI.
I'm not asking you to delete a line in VI. I'm asking you to delete a file. There are several files in a folder. I want you to delete that. What is the command? Command is rm. Yes, rm is the file. So I want to delete all the files in a folder at a particular point of time. I want this to be done automatically at every 1 hour. Then what I should do? I should write a shell script. Okay. So basically, shell script is an important part of process automation in Linux. Scripting or shell scripting helps you to write a sequence of commands in a file and execute them. So basically what you can do is, you can, let's say, sequence of files. What are sequence of commands? First you delete, then you, or let's say, think of it like this. You want to move the file from one folder to another file, then delete it, then compress them. Okay. So, and then mail it. So there are 4 or 5 commands. So you can write these 4 or 5 commands as a sequence in a shell script and execute them. And this can be run based on a particular schedule. Okay. This saves time because you don't have to write certain commands again and again. Shell script helps you to perform your daily tasks efficiently and even schedule them for automatic execution. You can basically make the Linux to write it to schedule them automatically. Or you can also set a certain scripts to execute on startup, such as showing a particular message when a new session or a certain environment variable. So basically, whenever I log in, okay, I want to show a message. Please do not delete the files in this particular folder, right? I want to give a message. And I can do that by changing, by writing a shell script. So shell script can be executed on demand, means whenever you want, you can execute. Second, shell script can be executed based on a particular condition. When something happens, then you execute a shell script. Third, shell scripts can be executed when at a particular period of time by scheduling it. Fourth, scheduling shell scripts can be executed on startup. Okay, there might be other conditions where the shell scripts are executed, but more or less these are the most commonly used times where you use a shell script on demand. That is whenever you want. For example, you want to kill all the processes that are not running for more than 1 hour, right? That is, you basically do an on demand. Right? You want to delete a folder every 1 hour. That is called as a scheduler. You want to delete the cache memory whenever the memory goes beyond 80%. That is based on some condition. Then you have something where you execute the shell script at the startup. Okay, when you say startup, it means that you execute as and when the Linux brings up. So these are the particular ways where you execute the shell script. Now, the shell script is written in something called as a bash shell. So you need something called as bash shell. Now, Krishnan will tell you how to set up a bash, how to create a bash file, right? And how do you update the environments in bash file. All these things Krishnan will tell you. Okay. Now, in Linux, I mean, this bash shell is also called as brownie shell. Okay, this bash shell is called as brownie shell. You have something called as bash RC. Then you have something called as bash profile. Okay, so can you just go to that slide? Yeah, previous slides. Yeah. So there are different types of shells, right? There is something called as a bash shell. Okay, this is called as I mean the full form of bash. Can anybody tell me what is the full form of bash? BASH. Anybody tell me the full form of bash? BASH. Okay, the full form of bash is brownie again shell. BRUNE, brownie or brown, whatever you want to pronounce it as. BOURNE. Born. Okay, I think you will have to pronounce it as born. BOURNE. Okay, born again shell. Okay, BOURNE. I'm writing it in the QA box.
I have already.
He has again written. Krishnan has again put. Okay, it's called born again shell. Okay, then this born again shell is again succeeded. I mean, after the bash, now you have simply SH. SH is simply a born shell. Okay. Now, when you first launch a shell, it uses a startup script located in .bash RC or .bash profile, which basically allows you to customize. And similarly, as Christian has pointed out, there are different bash shells. Now, what are all various things that you can do? Okay, so if you look at a bash shell, a bash script is basically a series of commands written in a file. They are read and executed as a bash program. The bash program executes line by line. So it's basically like a interpreter. Okay. For example, you can create a certain path, create a folder, and span a process inside it using a command line. Okay, so there are different file extensions, right? I mean, usually the file extension that we use is .sh. It is a usual. Okay, so the different kind of bash shells are .sh is the basic the extension for the shell script, and the Bash scripts actually starts with something called as hash. Okay, and then you will have an asterisk mark. Okay, hash and it is called shebang. Okay, it is called shebang. That's how the shell script will do. Okay, so Krishna, can you move to the next slide? Okay, so basically, why do we use shell script? As I already told you, for avoiding automation. Okay, so
Yep.
for avoiding repetition work, remove
Yeah.
the word automation. For avoiding repetitive work. Okay, for automating, so it is basically for automating and avoiding repetitive work. For automating and avoiding repetitive, it is mainly used by sysadmins for maybe you want to take a daily backup of a file, or you want to ensure that the temporary file is created or something like that. You would basically use a, and it is also used for system monitoring. Okay? Like you want to monitor, suppose, let's say every time the memory goes beyond 80%, okay, I need to see what are all the processes are running and selectively delete them. But I cannot be keeping on staring at my monitor to see when the CPU will or memory will go beyond 80%. So I can write a shell script to monitor the memory and send me an email or message or a WhatsApp message whenever the memory goes beyond 80%. Then I'll go and immediately act on it. Like that, there are so many automation things that we can do using shell script. So shell script has its own syntax, its own commands and stuff like that, which Krishnan will take you through. So Krishnan, what you can do is you can just go ahead and create a simple shell script, maybe do a hello world program, and then show a series of commands. The conditional statements, looping statements, we will see in tomorrow's class. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank So hope you are able to see my screen. As said by Kaushik, the shell script is contains a series of command and series of it is a program which run on the uh, top of the code. Okay. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to run the first shell script now. So I have created the shell script already. I will show you the content inside the shell script. Getting it. So in the shell script, I am printing the word. I'm printing the line. What is your name? And from that, the read function, I am setting the variable as a person, and that variable I will need to input that inside that. So it will ask you to enter the person name in the command prompt. So by executing it, so this is the first shell script we are going to see. So I have written it. I said by Kaushik, the bash shell will start with hash and exclamatory and followed by the slash bin slash shell. This is the shell prompt. So by doing, when we are putting this, we are in a shell prompt. This will not be run in the Linux terminal. This will be run in the another terminal that we cannot see. Okay. So I am going to execute the first shell script now. How do we execute? Just hit the sh and followed by the file name. First.sh. So the moment I put the file name and give the enter, it will print the line, what is your name, and it will ask for the name. The moment I give the name, like called something like that, and it will print hello something like that. So I have print the word hello, and I have set the variable as a person. That person name I am reading from the terminal. So I have taken the input from the terminal. The moment I enter the name, it will show you like this. So this is our first shell script. Okay. So as said by Kaushik, so the shell script is minimize the repetitive tasks. Say for example, in your organization, you are the Linux admin, and you need to create the whenever the new joinees are coming in, and you need to create a username, password, and you need to set up a working directory for them, and you need to set up everything and all. So there are several commands you need to execute for that. For creating a user, you need to execute a command, and creating directory, you need to execute a command, and setting the permission, and setting the directory, and putting the necessary files, and installing the necessary software like NetTool install, or whatever support like Java, something like that. Every time you don't want to execute those sequence of command one by one. Instead of that, you can write a shell script. Inside the file, you can put all the commands all together, and you can execute one by one. Say, for example, I have wrote the script called second.sh. I will show you. So this is the command. So whenever the new user comes in, I am going to create the user inside the system. So for that, first, let's say example, I am asking the username. What is the username that I am going to create? For that, I am using the echo command, and I am asking the username, and I am reading the username from the command prompt. I just entered the username, and for user add, for adding the user inside the server, I am using the command called user add. So this is the command to add the user. So the command and followed by the variable name. This is a variable name dollar. Whenever I put the dollar up, followed by the some string or something like that, you treat it as a variable. This variable name I can read it from the terminal. The I can read whenever the read function is used, it will ask you for the input. So the input I am giving as a name, and it will take that input from the username. Then it will by default, whenever you use the user add, it will ask for the Linux password for the same user. Then you need to enter the password, and I'm going to create the directory for the user. So directory name I am getting as a input, and in which path I need to create a directory for them. Okay, then that's it. So you want to add few more things. If you want to install some software, you need to use the sudo apt and get something like that, and install Java, something like that. If you want to add n number of lines like this inside the file. So for the example purpose, I'm adding that created the user and creating a directory for them, and what is the path I'm going to create the directory. So this is what I have created as a so whenever user comes in, so say for example, in a one day, the 10 user you want to create, you don't want to execute the series of command in them. You just need to execute the shell script one time, and it will create the user for them and something like that. So by default. So I'm going to execute the shell script now. First, it will ask me to enter the username. Say like Jerry is my username. Uh, for I'm using the sudo for adding the user, so it asks for my username password. Currently, I've logged into the Ubuntu user, so it asks for that user's password. So I'm entering it. Then it will ask for that very user new password. So I'm give the password for the very user. It will ask for the enter your directory name. So by default, whenever the user create a in home directory, the Jerry directory will be by default created. Inside the Jerry directory, I'm going to create one more directory called dir1. So after I'm entering, it will ask me to put the directory path where the dir1 has to be created. So I'm going to give the path slash home slash Jerry. So inside the slash home slash Jerry, I'm going to create the directory one. So that's it. So if you go and see the slash home directory, the dir folder will be creating here. So like that, you can write so many tasks. You can put the series of commands. Say for example, I'm going to create a file inside the directory one. So for that, I'm navigating to the directory. I don't know I'm having the permission or not. So let's create the directory inside the notes folder. Okay, file the notes folder. So right now I'm in the pwd notes folder. I'm creating a some shell script. So dot say that the first command I'm going to use the pwd, and the second command I'm going to create a file. For creating file, you know the command. Command is touch file one, file two, like that you can create. Then you can reach that with the slash and you can use that villain. Okay. So this is the piece of command. I'm getting it based on the file, saving it, and executing it. The showing LL command is not found. So it's me. So it has already created directory here. If you see here, the file one and file two already been created. The list command only it is not showing because I have write the command wrongly. So it has been not created. So like that, you can create a n number of shell script by using the file creating simplicity. Okay. So next, I am going to show you a step by Kaushik. So I'm going to show you the some real time use cases of the shell script. Okay. So this is one of our test server. Inside that, I am going to show you the shell script for taking the backup of the database. So this is the shell script. We have written it for taking the database backup. So when I run the shell script, you can run the shell script either using the sh command and followed by the file name, or you can simply run that file dot slash something like that. If I run that sh script, there will be a file backup file will be under the folder db underscore dot backup. Currently, the db backup file folder is empty. The moment when I run that backup.sh, the backup file will be inside the db backup folder that I'm going to show you now. Okay. Backup is the backup is completed now. So we're able to see the backup file here as a SQL file. This shell script, as said by Kaushik, you can configure it in cron tab by you can schedule it. If you want it, you can schedule it every 1 hour or 12 hour once. Whatever the frequency you want to schedule, you can schedule it by cron tab. I will show you how to schedule it as well. For that, you need to use a command called cron tab. In Windows, you can schedule you can create a schedule batch files under the scheduling jobs, right? In Linux, we call it as a cron tab. So under the cron tab, I'm going to list the what are the jobs are there in the cron tab. So the hard reboot, we are writing one script to start the all services coming up. So whenever we reboot the service, the shell script will run and it will start all the necessary services, whatever the application related service and database, and we have the hundreds of service we have written. So we have written it the shell script to start while the system is rebooting. So like that. So the VMR dot the backup we have scheduled it currently for will be the minute and it will be the date. Every just a minute. This is the minute and this will be the hour. This will run every 2 hours once. Currently, we have scheduled it like that. This is the minute, this is the hour, and this is the day. Something this is week or month, something like that. You can understand the uh, first point. You can is the minute, and the second is the hour, and the third is the sorry hour, and third is the day and week and month. This is what it reference. So if you put star.2, it will run for every 2 hours, something like that. So I have scheduled it. So it will run for every 2 hours, something like that, or every day at 2 o'clock. It means. So in that way, you can understand. Yeah. So when you put the star.2 every 2 hours, it will run. If you can, instead of that, you can put two every day at 2 o'clock. It will run. Okay. So this is what the cron tab is reference. So you can by doing the shell script and configuring the cron tab, you can simplify. You don't want to run the command set of commands manually for every 2 hours. So this is the power of the shell script. Okay. So same like I'm going to show you the another command for clearing the logs. So when I executing the shell script, it will create the log under the OCR sample folder. So there are 4 folders are created. Each folder there will be a log file. So folder is not- sorry, creating only folder. Sorry, I executed the wrong folder. So I need to create the populate dataset first. So that's why I did not get the log file here. Let me execute that. Slash populate log dataset. Now I'm into the sample folder. Inside that, navigate that. If you see, there are 3 files, 3 log files have been created. So I don't want to keep the log files in the system every day. So for clearing the log file, you can write the shell script like this. So we have written it the log file to clear the 3 days ago log file. Okay. So The moment I execute the sh file, uh, it will keep the 3 days log file. Before the log file, it can automatically delete. It will automatically delete the log file, which is not, which is more than 3 days. Okay. Today is 7th, so it will delete all the log file from the folder. I will show you. The moment I put currently there are 3 log files in the OCR1 folder, right? The moment I execute the OCR log clear, sorry, I think it is executed. The one directory. From the main folder. So the splitter. Now I'm navigating to the OCR log sample and OCR1 folder. Okay. The fourth date is not there because from now 7, 5, 6, the 3 days. 3 days log file it will keep, and more the file which is now, it has been more than 3 days, it will delete. So the fourth date file it got deleted automatically. So like that we have configured. So this is the real use case of the shell script for taking the backup and clearing the log file. And so using shell script we can monitoring the system resources as well, that I will show you now. So it will be coming like this. So what is the memory usage inside the system? This is the actual memory. Memory is the 3 GB and sub memory is something like that. This, what is the partition it has and how much uh, used and how much is the total and what is the CPU usage. It will show like that. We have written it as a custom shell script. It's not a inside of that. So it will give the details like this. So what are the services run? We are monitoring the post database services. We are monitoring currently. It is up and running, and it will use the port 5432. And one more database is there inside that, and that also running the under the port 8123 something like that. And there are several APIs and applications are running inside the server. So for each service, we have written the shell script and we are monitoring it. So you don't want to execute the command every time to see all those metrics. So for seeing the memory alone, you need to execute one command, and seeing the displays alone, you need to execute one command. For this, you need to execute 5 commands, and for this, execute two. So like that, for seeing all these things, you need to execute around 20 to 20 commands you need to execute. So you don't want to execute each and every time. Just run the shell script once. It will give you the details like this. So this is what the video of the shell script. So this is the real use case of the shell script in the DevOps day-to-day life activity. Okay. So with this, I am stopping the session. So if you have any queries or any questions, you can type it in the question tab. I'm stopping the recording.